In this section, we will look at how to create a custom fields in Azure Boards for a given work item type. So we will begin with an existing custom process that we created in my previous videos. And we also created a custom work item type called quality assurance, into which we will start adding custom fields based on the requirement of the project and understand how you can utilize the custom fields to track your team's effort and the activities in a more granular and specific to your project.
Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Chaitanya and you can call me Chai. I have more than a decade and a half of experience with software development as a developer, tech lead, architect, and various other roles around designing and delivering software products.
So let's begin with understanding the process and the steps involved in creating custom fields for the work items in Azure Boards. So in the previous videos, we created a custom process. If I go back to the projects, we created a process called Agile My Process. And in Agile My Process, we created a custom work item called Quality Assurance. To get to know the steps for this, please click on the links below to view the videos related to creating custom work item process and work item types. So now let's say now we also created a project based on Agile My Process, wherein I'm able to go ahead and create a new quality assurance type of work which you can now track. Example, I want to say load testing for staging environment, and I want to assign it to somebody so that this particular effort spent on load testing for the staging environment is tracked and both from a effort point of view and the delivery point of view. So now, while you are tracking this, you may come across the scenarios where or questions from various stakeholders like what version of release are we testing in this particular work item? When we say load testing for staging, is it for the current release, the upcoming release, or what is it only for the front end, back end? So various scenarios or questions would come in when this is a more load testing for staging environment is a more generic work item, but we want to have attributes which will help us identify this work is related to staging, it is related to release say version 1.2 of a product, and it also is related to which section of the application or which module of the application is focused on this load testing. So for you to provide this information, you will have to have a mechanism to uh, provide the attributes at the time of creating the work items or managing the work items so that you can report back on this. So to achieve this, you will have to go ahead and create a set of custom fields that will specific to your need and use that to report. So to create these work items, I'll go back to the organization settings and process, and I'll go back to Agile My Process and the quality assurance. So by default, these are the fields. By default, you get the description of the work item and with standard settings. Now, in case of a quality assurance work item type, which is not involved in any coding, it doesn't make sense to have a deployment development kind of a section. So you can also customize what is the view of the work item for your different users and ensure there is no clutter in the data and only the relevant data is displayed. So in case of quality assurance, I can hide the deployment section. I can also hide the development section. I will still need the related group. Now, as per our initial discussion, we will need to track two additional attributes of quality assurance, which will indicate as uh, the release or the version of the application it is this per the work item is for, and what section of the module or what module of the software this is focused on. So for us to do this, we will go ahead and create two work items, call it as uh, the release version and the module. So before we go ahead and create a new field, you could also create various subgroups to help categorize the fields that you want to display. So here I would specify, the uh, QA attributes as a new group, right? Or I'll say release details, right? I'm basically saying that this group will give you information about the release and attributes related to release of this work item. So and it is asking you how do you want to, which page you want to display. I'm saying display it in the details page, and I'll keep this column as default. Now I have here the release details, which doesn't have any sections. Now you can start adding the fields for this existing group. Now I'll click on new field. So again, for a given group, you can add an existing fields into the uh, group. So example, I may want to add start date into the group so that I know when is this work item uh, has started or will start. I can also want to add completion uh, end date. I'm not sure what is the field. So let me close date. So I'm going to add two fields, one which will tell me when this is going to start and when it's going to end. Now I will go ahead and create two more fields, which is a, now I'm not using an existing field, but I'm creating a new field. I'll call it as version details, version, or I'll call it as release version. And here you can specify the type of the field. It could be the standard, it could be a checkbox, radio button, date time, a simple number, and things. So I'm going to select a pick list, uh, 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 or because it's a version, I will just say it is a simple string, single line string. Okay, provide, I will say provide details of which version this work item is for. So I'm going to add a new field here, call it as release version. And now I'm going to add one more field and I'll call it as affected module. Now here I'll select a pick list. Now I can here again, I can say front end, I will say API, database. So what I'm basically specifying is this particular load testing is focused on API load testing, database, or front end. So I'm going to specify or track my team's efforts focused on individual types. So now once I have this information, so what I've basically done here is I've removed a couple of tabs which I don't see a need for this type of work item, and I've created a new group called release details, added a couple of existing fields, and created two new fields as per my requirement. Now with this setting done, if I go back to my project, we created this project before adding the custom field, right? But now once I go back to the board and try to create, go back to my load testing for staging development, and here you will see the new section called release details, wherein I'll be able to specify the start date, the end date, specify the release, example I'll say v 2.4, and which it is focused on database testing. So once I do a save, I have the information, additional information about this work item, which talks about which version it is affecting and what module. So imagine you have multiple work items of type quality assurance and even for each release for different modules. Now with this information you will be able to create a query or a report which will give you an indication of how many work items are there for release 2.4 on load testing or quality assurance, how many are in databases and various other uh, factors. So this is the process, or this is how you can go ahead and create a work item, group the fields into a group, into a custom group or an existing group, and remove the clutter on the work item view so that the team is focused on what information is required and focus on delivering your project or release.